William Kelly, the reporter known as the Gadfly we talked to
Are
last
we
time.
recording?
We are. We're officially recording. That's a thing.
How are you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you? How's the city of Chicago? I wouldn't know I moved to the wonderful free country of Texas. But I did want to stay in touch. I've got a lot of friends that still live in the wonderful city of Chicago. I would love to see it turn around, but
Can
we've
you
got some. Do
scroll out a little bit?
you want me to scroll out?
Or like me scroll out? Can you scroll me out a little bit?
I could probably do that in post production, or we can just, this could be the whole episode is just rolling back and forth on chairs, whatever you want to do, man.
How are you doing, brother?
We can keep it loose. I like the pocket square. It looks very nice. It's very professional.
I do try.
Is it shorts below? Don't lie.
Say what?
Is it shorts below? Is it just shorts and flip flops below the waist on camera? Are you actually in a suit? What's that?
I will never tell.
You'll never tell. All right. All right.
You can waterboard me. See what happens.
I don't want to waterboard you, but I do want to know, did you get your press credentials back? Because the last time we spoke, you were under attack by the former Lightfoot administration. My mic's loose here. Did you get them back, or are you still stricken from press junkets?
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
The official.
Is that the official?
ReporterWilliamJKelly.com.
All right. I will put that up on screen. The last time we spoke, you had your press credentials pulled. Did they give them back to you, or what happened with that?
By the way, thank you for having me. God bless you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Despite the fact that you've moved to Texas, I will. I need to learn to be a better person. I have learned to be a better person, okay? And I realize now that I have no right to expect anything from anybody except myself.
Okay.
That's all I can do. And when I go around trying to expect things from other people, that's where all of the unhappiness starts. That's where the unhappiness begins, you know? I've been warning people for decades that eventually society will, collapse. And sadly, I've had people, bizarrely, leaders, okay, specifically Republican leaders, tell me for decades, okay, that Chicago gets what it deserves. Chicago gets what it deserves.
That's not
nice. And now I don't know, maybe, now I can, it was my fault. It was my grievous fault to ever expect Republican leaders to care or listen or understand anything, I suppose. So you are a Chicagoan currently residing in Texas. How do you feel about what?
Yep.
How do you feel about the governor of Texas sending migrants, or as I call them, unfunded mandates, to Chicago?
That's a great question. I am very displeased with Governor Abbott's lack of his inability to handle the border effectively. I think we just signed to send the National Guard down there to wall up the border, put the National Guard there, put up a wall, increase fencing. I think it's much too little, way too late. We've had 10 to 15 million illegal immigrants in the country since then, since we've been...
They say 25 buses a day will be arriving in Chicago. That's about 2,000 people a day in the city of Chicago.
Well, I will say this, in the city of Chicago, along with New York and San Francisco, one of the reasons I did leave Chicago was because of a lot of the policies of the politicians, things like inviting Sanctuary City and broadcasting that internationally. If you want to come to the country illegally, we'll house you. And there's a difference between, I think, politically having a, having an open, an open mind, a big heart, and something actually being put into practice. And when you actually have these ridiculous plans put into practice, they destroy everything around them. We can do a lot more if we worked with those governments locally to build up a middle class so that people wouldn't flee the countries they're in to come here. It's a bit of it's a mess, right? If you come here illegally, you get, was it $2,200 a month, free housing, free
Just
education,
out of
free healthcare?
curiosity, is it Chicago's responsibility to secure the border?
No, it's not, but it's also Chicago's responsibility not to broadcast that they are a sanctuary city and invite those individuals and actually promulgate this issue. If they
Really?
broadcast that,
Why is that?
yes, it is. Well, if Chicago says that they are a sanctuary city and you get across the border and you can make it to Chicago, then Chicago is going to pay your bills, right?
Okay, whose responsibility is it to secure the border?
Well, it's the federal government.
So let's just say I don't care who's. I don't care if it's the mayor of Chicago, the governor of Illinois, Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan, a professor at the University of Chicago, a lunatic on a street corner. I don't care what any of these people say. They're all the same to me, by the way. So, but there has to be some responsibility. Like, for example, let's just say a lunatic on a street corner in Chicago says that that Texas is now a colony of Venezuela. Does that make it so?
Well, no,
Well,
no,
then what's going
but
on here, dude?
but
Um,
Texas is also, Texas has for a long time, like, we're not sanctuary cities. We don't believe, I think Austin is, but we don't, Texas by and large does not want unfunded mandates, as you call it, does not believe in illegal immigration, believes in legal immigration, which we need. We just saw the cases of TB on the rise actually in Chicago that some of the police officers got
try
from
scabies.
the
Are you
epidemiological
familiar with
problems.
scabies?
I am not. I've read
Do you know
about
what
it a long
scabies
time.
is?
I do not.
Um, Scabies, apparently, from what I understand, and I'm a reporter, I do my research, I try to reach out to experts, and they're very few and far between. It's bizarre, you know, but I do reach out to experts, and I have spoken with a couple who have told me that scabies is on the rise in Chicago, and I ask them, exactly is scabies, and they say, well, it's a mite. It gets under your skin. It makes you extremely uncomfortable, and it can literally, like almost overnight, completely uh, uh, like take over your entire house and everyone living in it. And so apparently, we went from a scabies-free Chicago to a scabies zone.
It is a caused by an infection of the skin by the human itch mite,
Hmm.
Sarcoptes. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I am not a whatever this
Yeah,
field is.
entire police Chicago, from according to my sources, because it's very very difficult. Here's my frustration, and I
Mm-hmm.
think you'll feel my pain here eventually. According to my sources, entire police stations have been shut down because we don't really need. I mean, it's not like we have a violent crime epidemic on our hands here in the city of Chicago.
Not according to the mayor.
Entire police stations have been shut down to try and somehow eradicate the scabies, which apparently you literally need to scrub down every tile um, repeatedly in order to uh,
Hmm.
eradicate the scabies. Okay.
Okay, so the microscopic scabies mite burrows into the upper layer of the skin where it lays its eggs, where it
Yep.
lives. Most common symptoms of scabies are intense itch and pimple-like skin rash. Got it. Well,
I've always
again,
tried to avoid pimple-like skin rashes, just to be
this
clear.
is as much as possible.
Just to be clear,
I
and whenever I have one, it happens from time to time. I it annoys me.
do you
Um,
think? Let me ask you this: do you think we can have a sensible conversation around, because it seems like we get very loud voices on either side of these extreme binaries where there
Yeah, we've
seems to
got the
be.
pro scabies and the anti scabies. They
Yeah.
are endlessly shouting at each other. I think we need to. Is there such a thing? Can we find a middle of the road scaby voice? Is there somebody who is willing to be a moderate scabies advocate? Can we just get along, scabies?
Do you believe? So, let me ask. Can we go back to the comment you made about the border? Are you saying that this is solely Texas's fault?
Um, who is responsible for the southern border?
The federal government.
Yeah,
Or,
it's their fault. Clearly, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's assume that Chicago elects a literal scaby, Mayor Scaby, and Mayor Scaby says we want scabies to
pro
come to
scabby.
Chicago. We want Chicago to be a scabies sanctuary, and we want scabies for everyone.
Okay.
Does that mean that the federal government that the governor of Texas now needs to literally send like like a busload of 25 busloads of scabies to Chicago every day? Come on, dude. Somebody's got to take some responsibility here.
So, if the city, so let me ask you this: if like San Francisco, Chicago, New York, like places in New Jersey, other governors that are like, "Hey, we're pro illegal immigration, we're sanctuary cities." If they weren't broadcasting that they were sanctuary cities, the individuals coming to the United States would not feel like there's anything. They wouldn't feel like there's a reason to come here because they wouldn't be welcomed.
One of
If
the
we had
big
a
mistakes that I've made in my life is
if we had a
expecting other people to be responsible, to do what they say they're going to do, to be decent human beings. It's been a grievous. I'm Catholic, so I'm just going to say it right now. A grievous fault of mine to expect other people to be responsible. It's a grievous fault of mine. I take full responsibility.
But if the people of like New York,
But it's
Chicago, San
not, to be
Francisco, and
perfectly
others
honest with you,
constantly say that
it doesn't.
they welcome individuals and that they can come there, and Texas doesn't want them, and we keep saying don't come, when they show up, it's like, all right, you guys are sanctuary cities, we're going to send them to you if you guys want them. And I don't feel like that's completely irrational. No.
Yeah, it's completely irrational. Yeah, you're either a leader or you're not. It's as simple as that.
So what happens then with, so this, are you saying that this is solely on the Texas border? Arizona, Texas, California?
Um, it
That
doesn't.
these three states bear the responsibility
If the
for
United States of
the muck up of
America
the
is
federal
depending
government?
on the mayor of Chicago to somehow, well, first of all, why did you move out of Chicago?
Because the politics are shit. I got tired of living there and
I
living
rest
under
my
a punitive
case.
government,
I
so I
rest my
left.
case. I rest my case.
About
You just said, okay, why did you move out of Chicago? One
because
more
the
time.
politics are shit.
Okay. So are you saying that that the governor of Texas needs to somehow um, his actions should completely depend on the politics of, what did you say? The
That
politics of what?
the politics that are shit.
Yeah. So you're saying that the governor of Texas, his actions should be dictated by that.
No, but if the city of Chicago is saying that that they want illegal immigrants, and
All
we,
right. Okay. We got, what we got here, guy. We got
that's what
something
I'm.
called, it's a circular argument. By the way,
So
I love you. I love you. Love your show. I'm on your side. God bless you. I understand you moved to Texas. I get it. Everybody's moving away. Everyone's runs for the hills. Have you ever seen a movie called High Noon?
no, I don't believe so.
That's a shame. That's a shame. It would have been instructive.
What is who's
So
in it? Who's in it?
all right. So there's this guy named Gary Cooper. Okay, God bless him, Gary Cooper. and he plays a character called Will Kane, and he's in this town, a fictional town. It's a movie, Hollywood. And I don't know who made this movie or what they were trying to get at, but it made a big impression on me as a little kid. I got to be honest with you. It's one of my top three movies of all time. Okay, classic movies that is.
1952.
Okie dokie. And so anyway, so this guy Gary Cooper, God bless him. I friggin' love this guy, and and too bad he was a heavy cigarette smoker because it killed him. But I guess he would have been dead anyway eventually. But what happened was he was the sheriff of this town, right? And uh, people were coming to this town, I guess you could say invading the town, to try to somehow injure the people who lived in the town, right? And I would imagine if I was born and raised in that town, even if I was born and raised on the south side of that town, I would have loved that town. And so anyway, so this guy Gary Cooper, he decides he's going to stay and defend the town from these outlaws, from these people who want to destroy the town and the people who live in it, including, by the way, his betrothed, a fetching actress by the name of Grace Kelly. No relation. I wish. My God, she was absolutely beautiful. A doll. I would go so far as to say, or a princess. Ultimately, a queen, I guess, of Monaco. Well, anyway, so this Grace Kelly, she's saying to this guy Gary Cooper, "Move. Don't stay in this town. Why are you going to stay here and be a sitting duck for these criminals who want to come and kill you? You need to move." And Gary Cooper says to her, he says, if I move, what kind of a man am I? If I run away to Texas, what kind of a man am I? If I go live on, if I, they're just going to track me down. You think that's going to make us safe? If I move to Texas, what kind of a man am I? So he stays, and guess what he does? He saves the town from the criminals, and him and Grace Kelly live happily ever after. I choose to follow the example of Will Kane.
Got it. And so in this case, you're saying, what kind of man am I to run away to go to Texas instead of staying in Chicago, where
Only you can answer that question. See, I thought I was talking to a guy from Chicago. Here, where were you born?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. All right. So I guess, all right, you're born in Philadelphia. You moved to Chicago now you're in Texas. Where are you going to go next? When Texas goes to hell, where are you going to go?
It's a great question. I don't know. But I definitely think if Texas goes to hell, this thing's done completely. It's one of the reasons I left. I mean, you have such a dereliction of duty in the leadership of Chicago and such a human rot of corruption that I don't think staying there made any sense. It's like trying to fight a tidal wave.
In Philadelphia right now, by the way,
it's horrible. I wouldn't fucking touch Philly with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't touch it with 100-mile.
Have you heard of a young lady named Meatball?
A young lady named Meatball?
Google it. You're quick on the Google.
I'm quick on the Google. I'll Google it. Do you really think that you can turn Chicago around, or do you think it'll consume?
Yes, I can. Yes, I will. I can. Southside Irish. Google that when you get a chance.
Southside Irish. I know a couple people from Chicago that are Southside Irish. They're wonderful. They're all fighters. I just look at what's happening in Chicago, and I feel like the administration cares more about lining their pockets than the people. And when that happens, then
guaranteed.
I was like, you know what, this isn't for me anymore.
Fair enough.
And also, like, they're de-arming everybody. That the Second Amendment thing that Pritzker's passed, that was a mess. And they're not doing anything about gun violence with pistols, so they banned the AR platform, which is.
So what do you think about Meatball?
I haven't found it yet. A lawyer for a looter known as Meatball. Is this the one?
Who's a looter known as Meatball?
Not seeing. There's a lot of recipes for meatball popping up, but Meatball.
No.
Looter.
Don't get me wrong. I mean,
where you
live in a very
Philadelphia looter Meatball.
Yep.
Selling $45 mugshot hoodies. Is that where this is going?
Apparently, she was arrested for not only looting in Philadelphia, but apparently she was live streaming it.
Great.
Well, I mean, what can you put some Meatball up on the screen? What do you got?
Let me see.
By the way, God bless you, brother. I like you. I like you a lot. I was hoping that you and I were going to plan our Chicago event,
I
and
tried.
now I find out you threw me a little bit of a curveball. I'm not going to
I
lie.
tried. I
Finding
messaged
out that
you about doing a live
finding out that
event.
you're in Texas is a little bit of a disappointment on my
I
part.
tried. We were supposed to do a live event. I actually had a theater lined up, the whole thing, and I never heard back from you about
Oh,
doing it.
there's our
So
girl. There's
there's our
Meatball.
girl. There's Meatball.
So she is in Philadelphia, right?
Okay.
Well, you tell me. Am I wrong?
I don't. I've not followed the story. I don't know. So I'm
Okay,
assuming that
time
if
out.
you're sent,
Are you
so
from Philadelphia?
I am from Philadelphia.
Where were you born?
Well, we don't know. We don't all know each other. You know that, right? It's like you don't know everyone in Chicago. I don't know everyone in Philadelphia.
Yeah, yeah. So where were you born?
In Philly, I
And
grew up
where'd
in
you go to high school?
Pottstown. I went to high school in Ohio.
In Ohio.
Yep.
Here, time out. Was like your dad in the military or something?
No, we moved around a lot. My father was just in corporate America. We moved around. He took jobs at various companies.
So you were
For
born in Philadelphia, you moved to Ohio,
spent
then
some
you
time
moved
in
to Chicago, and
Wisconsin.
now you're
Lived
in
in
Texas.
lived in Vegas. Lived in L.A. Lived overseas. Yeah, lived all over.
Wow.
So Philly.
Well, I give you. Well, you know what? I suppose there's a certain. I have to give you some kind of. Hey, time out. Maybe you're the winner. Maybe you win the. Maybe you win the jackpot here. I don't know.
I don't think it's about winning. I think it's the one of the binaries that we get trapped in, and this is the whole purpose of the show. Ultimately, is to try to identify
Okay,
ideas
so
and
let
what
me
are
ask you a
ways to
question.
fix this.
What city do you most identify with?
The most city that I identify with. Oh,
Where do you, in your heart and your soul, what city do you identify with?
that is a. I don't think I do
Oh
identify with a
no!
city.
Wow, you see, they're here. Okay, we've got a real problem here. Okay, this is the
Okay.
problem. If Americans cannot identify with a city, then why would they defend a city? Why would they care about a city? Why would they care about a country? If they don't identify with a neighborhood, a school, a church, a business, if they don't identify with anything, if they can't honestly say this is the line, do not cross this line, do not cross this line, then it becomes impossible to defend a city,
Well,
a
isn't
state,
this?
a
I
country.
mean, is this what?
Do you
What
identify
is
with
it?
the United States of America?
Of course, I'm a United States Marine and a combat veteran. I served
Okay,
overseas defending
well
this
then, oh
country.
my God,
So,
dude. Okay, well
very,
now we're
very
talking.
much.
Now
I'm
this
not
is a
at a
very interesting.
city. I'm at a macro level, and I think this is the great lie of
So, what
multiculturalism.
country do you
It
think we need
becomes.
to defend?
Wait, hang on. It becomes a melting pot, and you lose the identity of anything at a macro level where people can bond to something together. And this is ultimately the bigger issue. We don't have anything in common. It's everyone loves to shit on this country. It's easy to hate it because we're the number one and have been for forever. And I think as a result of that, like we've seen, like the recruiting in the military has been trash. They're having horrible problems with trying to get people to join like the Marines, the Navy, the Army, Air Force, you name it. I think this is a major problem. And I think it's because we've been taught to not ultimately love our country and not love who our founding fathers were.
Okay,
We're
it
taught
sounds
that
like
they're
we're
bigots
starting
and
to.
horrible people,
Yeah.
and we're taught that they're bad and you shouldn't like anything that they did, and we're erasing our history and pulling our statues down. So why would you expect any of our youth to give a shit about anything in this country?
All right,
They'd rather
we're
tear it to
starting to sync
pieces.
up. You and I are starting to sync up like an Apple Watch. I got a quick question for you. Is
Yep,
Meatball still up on the screen?
she sure is. I can pull her down.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question about
Okay,
Meatball over here.
I'm gonna pull
Okay.
Meatball down here.
No. Keep Meatball right there. We need Meatball.
Okay.
Meatball is might just be the answer to all of our questions. Okay. Is Meatball going to A, be convicted of felonies and sent to prison? B, be somehow cleared of? Will a Philadelphia jury find her not guilty and let her go free, or will Meatball become Mayor Meatball, the mayor for life of Philadelphia? A, B, or C?
Probably B. I hope to God not C.
You never know. It's hard.
Um, I think I don't have a Meatball. I pulled her off the screen. She live streamed a mob style looting spree in Philadelphia and encouraged others to join in. Yeah, this is the problem with Kim Fox and the DA. I don't forget the DA's name in Philadelphia, but he has similar or she has similar soft on crime policies. And this is what you go soft on crime. You punish all of the law abiding citizens who play, by the rules and do what they're told and pay their taxes and, try to ultimately add to society. And then you do what happened in Chicago. I wanted to talk to you about cash bail, the abolition of cash bail. What happened there? What's been the fallout? And then also, I was really curious about the press credentials thing, which we still haven't gotten to, but we'll start with cash bail first. What happened with that? We abolished it, and I've seen some interesting folks get let out. A woman that pepper sprayed a couple of police officers and attacked one made headlines.
First of all, God bless you, brother, and thank you for having me on your show. I'm not going to lie, I was a little thrown off by the news that you've moved to Texas. But I've recovered. Okay. Yeah, we have something called the Safety Act in Illinois, which essentially is the safety for communist, repeat offenders. I don't know what it is, but it's not good for the law-abiding citizens of Chicago. And we sadly have multiple examples now. It's only been in effect essentially for a couple of weeks now. And we have people there was a guy who literally is accused of carjacking someone at gunpoint who was released. He was apprehended and immediately released from custody.
Maybe I should explain the cashless bail thing. So if for people who haven't been arrested, which is probably most of us, you get arrested, you get held in jail, you're given a court date, and you're given a bond, or you're given a bail amount. And if you post the bail, let's say $30,000, you get to walk free. You show up to your court date at that time. If you can't post bail, then you stay in jail. So the concept is high bail amounts to keep violent offenders, for example, somebody that robbed somebody at gunpoint for their car, in jail, so that way they can't be out on the streets doing it again. So the abolition of cash bail allows that person then to be arrested, booked, given a court date, and then set free. Do I have that correct?
Yes, from what I was able to hear, that is correct.
Okay, so Illinois will be the breeding ground for training for the U.S. Marshals, because I have a feeling they're going to be looking for a lot of people not showing up to court.
As if it matters.
Okay, well, I mean, all right. So sorry, I didn't have to take that off the center, but you were saying about cash bail, it was abolished, and then what are people doing? Are they trying to create a movement to get this reinstated? Because I know it was almost passed at the 11th hour, and then it was shut down, and then it got passed again, which I was very shocked at. Is there a list of the representatives that pushed this thing through? Is there anything that we can do to grab some type of recourse, against their political careers to get them voted out of office?
Well, every time I reach out to somebody that I think might actually help me with something along those lines, I find out that they've moved to Texas.
Come on. I can still do this from Texas. It was all remote anyway. We didn't have a studio built. I was trying to do that, but we couldn't find a place. Actually, the theater I was technically in the back of a billiards hall. It's a little stand-up room. Serge Billiards, shout out to Serge, great guy. That was probably going to be the place to do it live. 3-camera shoot. We just never materialized, and I had an opportunity to come down here, and I took it. So there's a great comedy scene out here in Austin. There's a great podcast scene out here in Austin as well. Hoping to build a studio out here. I would love for you to come out in person to do this. It would be amazing. Maybe check out the city. It's a wonderful city. But to go back to the cash bail and the recourse for the citizens of Illinois, is anything being done to repudiate the passing of this bill? Because it seemed like nobody wanted it to pass. They tried to sneak it across. It got shut down, thankfully, but then it got passed. Is anyone looking at the representatives that passed it.
That would be like asking someone in Chernobyl, hey, like back in like 1989, hey, so is anybody in Chernobyl trying to figure out, where all of the, where, how we can, how we might be able to, put the, the radiation back in Chernobyl? No, we're not quite there yet. Okay. We might get there eventually, but as of right now, I would say that the criminals are running free. We have something called armed robbery crews that are robbing people. In some cases, 10, 20, people a night. They're crews of about, 8 to 12, essentially teenagers between the ages of 13 and 18. They
Jesus.
rob people with guns, in some cases long guns, rifles. They steal the backpacks from students, the cell phones from women walking dogs, from the valuables, the jewelry from a couple, maybe on their way to get coffee in the morning, and nothing, absolutely nothing, as in zero, is being done about this. Um, whenever the mayor of the city of Chicago is asked, "What is your plan to combat violent crime?" he says, "Quote: First, give me the money. First, give me the money." I'm sorry, but that sounds like something that an extortionist would say.
Yeah, it sounds like a shakedown, right?
Sounds like a shakedown.
Which is, I mean, in line with Chicago politics, not to rag on Chicago politics, but not everybody. I know Alderman Lopez is there. He's phenomenal. The guy's got an unbelievable head on his shoulders. I'd love to see him run for mayor. I can't vote in the
He said he
elections.
was going to run for mayor.
Did he? That's phenomenal. Alderman
No,
Lopez
no, no,
is
no. He
the.
said he was going to run for mayor in 20, what was it? 90, 20,
It was. It was
most
before
recent
this.
mayoral election.
It was before this last one, and he
Yeah.
pulled out to give his support to Paul Vallis, and that was
Yeah.
unfortunate that happened. I think Raymond Lopez is. I think he's the guy. He can probably fix a lot of problems there. Three-time reelected alderman of the 14th or 15th ward. I'm sorry, I forgot the ward, but great dude, very sensible, very like center, getting away from shouting and binaries, just a problem solver, and also does things in budget, which is pretty phenomenal, which we need in the city of Chicago. My heart breaks for Chicago, man. I love the city. It had a great indie film world there for a while, had a great comedy scene for a while. It just got really dicey, and it got to I mean, my buddy Nick, who lived a couple of blocks from me, got clipped with a golf club walking his dog. Group of guys pulled up, jumped out, and chased him with a golf club, hit him in the head, cracked his skull open. He's got hearing loss in his left ear
I heard
where he
about
was
that.
hit.
Yeah, that story was on the news.
Yep,
He was
Nick
hit by a
Christian,
golf club.
great guy. He was walking
Mul-
his dog and he was
Multiple
beaten.
people have been hit by golf clubs. So the obvious question is, do we ban golf clubs? I think we should, and I think that we should sue. The people who are manufacturing golf clubs clearly need to be sued.
I feel like the gun lobby would love to hear that sound clip.
We need
Not
to
that
sue
you're.
them. We need to sue anyone who manufactures a golf club. It's not that it's they need to be anyone who sells a golf club. Let's
They need to
let's really crack
bring him
down
to
on
justice.
that now.
Bring him to justice.
Have you ever heard of like golf clubs? What the hell's going on here? We've got golf clubs. We got caddies. Caddies are they? They might actually be. We need to look into them. We need to track them. We need to track them down. I used to be a caddy, so I say that very, with a lot of
Great reference.
with some degree of self awareness here. It was my first job ever, and I got to be honest with you, it was great. In fact, I might just actually quit being a reporter and just go back to being a caddy.
It would probably be a much more stress-free life. Do you? Why don't you have your own show?
Hmm. Well, I think that telling the truth is apparently is not a very. It's not as popular as you
Gets
may
you.
think.
gets you in a lot of trouble. I've gotten a lot of shit for doing this, and it's not even a big show. It's a very small, like nothing show, and I've already caught crap for it. So people don't like the truth. We live in strange times.
Yeah,
That
just go ahead and just ask Socrates. Ask hell, just ask Mark Twain, Will Rogers. They
uh,
will all tell they've got much better quotes than I do,
you've got some pretty good ones.
yeah, they yeah, it's not a big guy. Voltaire. Have you ever heard of a guy named Voltaire?
I have.
Is he a
Yeah.
real person or is he like some kind of composite character?
No, Voltaire had one of the best quotes of all time. He said, "I might disagree with what you say, but I will defend to my death your right to say it."
I was afraid you were about to tell me that Voltaire had a podcast.
No, no, he might. There might be a podcast called Voltaire now. There's like a
I was
zillion
afraid you were about
podcasts
to
out
tell
there.
me that Voltaire was
Might be a
actually an
DJ.
ancient alien.
No, well, with the hair, with that guy, the
You know,
ancient
that would
alien
make
guy.
me. Can I be honest with you? You know what my ultimate goal is. I'm not going to lie right now. I'm just going to tell you right now. Okay,
Tell me.
my ultimate goal is that is to be so good at what I do that a thousand years from now,
Hmm.
people will say that reporter WilliamJKelly.com definitely an ancient alien.
Definitely an ancient alien. I sincerely appreciate you doing this show.
Thank you.
I know that we got you in a time constraint today. I would love to have you back on. I would love to actually try to figure out how we can pull back. It seems like cowards and pedophiles and lawyers run this world nowadays, and it would be interesting to figure out where the good ones are. The lawyers, I mean, not the other two. To figure out how to go after and claw back some of the rights that are being pulled away from the law-abiding citizens of this country.
I would love that.
The reason I was doing this show is this is unfortunately not isolated to just Chicago. It's all over the nation. There's a lot of people very upset. There seems to be a lot of bad people getting their way and a lot of good people being harmed without repercussion. And that's a recipe for chaos and vigilantism, which is a disaster. So I would love to I'd love to have you back on and try to figure out maybe maybe highlight some of the individuals that passed some of these nonsense bills and try to get movement behind getting those people thrown out of office.
I would like that very much. I do appreciate you. I do like you, and I thank you, and I appreciate you coming after me. But I will say this, no joke. It did throw me off just a little bit to find out that you moved to Texas.
I'm sorry, buddy. Austin's got a great stand-up scene here. It's got a great
Yeah,
indie
yeah.
film scene
Oh
here,
no, I've
and
been to Austin. I love Austin. I really, really do. God bless the place. And there's a hotel there. I don't remember the name offhand, but it's like a famous place. It has a big balcony. Do you know the place I'm talking about? It's got a little barbecue restaurant in the lobby.
I do not.
I wish I could remember the name of it. Shame on me. But I do love Austin
Shame on
very,
me. I
very
wonder.
much. And I'll definitely take you up on this idea of me coming to Austin. Or, you know, I would not recommend anyone to come into Chicago anytime soon due to the scabies. But you don't want scabies.
No
Trust
one
me.
wants scabies. No one
Yeah,
wants
whenever
scabies.
anyone like I got people, they come up to me every once in a while and they're like, "Hey, let me shake your hand." I'm like, I don't want scabies.
You just give them a cloth elbow. You just go,
Yeah,
let's give you a little
I'm
elbow
not.
bump.
It's really funny because like I've had COVID, no joke. I know that COVID is real. I get it,
Mhm.
but I would rather have COVID, no joke. I would rather have COVID than scabies.
It's
I
much better than itching all
much
the
better.
time. You only
Yeah,
have to cough for a couple of weeks, get some sniffles. That's the
coughing.
thing.
That's one. That's bad. That's not good. But scabies. Um, you know, I've talked to some historians, and they tell me that I've asked them. I said, what what will ultimately be the downfall of Chicago? Will it be scabies? And they say no, but that is clearly a sign of the downfall of Chicago. Scabies. Well, the fact that we're talking about scabies means that we have a third world health problem. We have a
Mm.
third world violent crime problem. We have a third world economy now. With you know, the migrants selling bottles of water, on the off ramp, the on ramp of the various expressways, selling soup from like big pots of with like ladles of soup on Michigan Avenue.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, but we worked really, really hard to try to build up Chicago for centuries, literally, from Fort Dearborn to today, and that result and that required the rule of law. It required certain permits, in order to have a restaurant or a business in the city of Chicago. And now we have a vacancy rate, in the of downtown commercial real estate that is off the charts.
Hmm.
Violent crime. We have people who don't want to return to the office. As a result, restaurants and stores are closing at record levels. Michigan Avenue, State Street, just back to back to back. Go to reporterwilliamjkelly.com. You'll see the video. Back to back to back vacancy, and and you know good, honest, hardworking Chicagoans are the ones who are punished, and the criminals are the ones who are somehow being treated as social justice heroes. It wasn't just a 2020 thing. It's all the way through, up to and including today. So I can't say I blame you for moving to Texas. It obviously is something that is a sore point for me. I'm not going to lie, but we are going to have to turn Chicago around. I believe we can do it. Maybe like in the alcohol world, we have to hit rock bottom. Maybe
Hmm.
25 busloads of unfunded mandates a day might just be the rock bottom that is required for us to turn this around. We do have, yeah,
I was gonna. I don't. Sorry to interrupt you. And
no,
everything you said is beautiful and on point. And it's a sad story, but I think the good news is there's only one place to go from here, hopefully, and that's up. I would love to see, and I don't know how to ever get this done, but it's going to take tort reform from the legal side as well as some type of legislation. But the people that ransack these cities, and I mean the politicians that destroy them, need to be held personally liable, as in serve jail time for the dereliction of their responsibilities to the citizens that elected them. They first and foremost, Brandon Johnson is the mayor of Chicago, Chicagoans and U.S. citizens. And that needs to go, above and beyond everything else in his, war chest of politics. And unfortunately, the corruption and the politicking has gotten so bad that it's left law-abiding citizens and U.S. citizens out in the lurch. And until I think we see district attorneys that are sidelining the law, going soft on crime, or just not even charging people because politically it's inexpedient, until we see politicians and district attorneys, as well as the people who fund them knowingly for these agendas, serving time behind bars for their chaos that they sow. I don't know what it is. I'm not a constitutional attorney, sedition, treason, something in there. But if you're electing officials and you're funding officials specifically to destroy the rule of law so that you can hold a city hostage for more funding, or destroy the police department so much that you can make a case for a new type of police department, which I think is probably what's coming, a new police that's better funded. And what was the clip? We need a military, or we need a police force that's just as well funded as the United States military, just as strong and just as big.
they've already passed a bill in the state of Illinois for migrants to become police officers.
I did see that. Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's nuts. And again, it's like, how is that supposed to work when you've got somebody coming to your door and you're an American citizen? That person doesn't even speak English, and they're giving you a command in your own country. You don't even speak the language of the officer at your door. I mean, we're in crazy town. And
Who's going to hate that more than anyone? When a Venezuelan police officer knocks on the door? Who do you think is going to hate that more than anyone?
I don't know.
You know.
I don't. I legitimately, got me stumped. I don't know.
All right.
You tell me. Who is it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's not appropriate to say things that are like clear on their face. But yeah. So yeah. In fact, I even did a video about this. I think reporterwilliamjkelly.com. You can also find these videos on my Facebook page or on YouTube, wherever you want to find it. I don't care. But yeah, let's do this. Let's try and circle back at some point here. I have a feeling that something very, 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 something very interesting is going to happen in the city of Chicago. Make no mistake about it. The Democrat National Convention is coming to Chicago
Yeah.
in uh, a year from now. I think that Chicago will be uh, on full display with world. We'll have the eyes of the country and the world on Chicago for the year to come.
Well, I sincerely hope it gets better and not worse. Please keep us posted. I love you, man. I sincerely mean that. You're doing great
And I
work
mean
out
that too.
there.
God bless
Yeah,
you, brother.
and
Yeah.
always welcome back. We're gonna have our first live episode. I'm doing an interview with someone that's involved with the Potawatomi tribe here in Austin sometime in November. So we'll have a
Cool.
studio set up. I'd love to have you out, and please keep us posted. And one more time for the website, where can people find your work? I know you got to jump for another interview.
Yeah, reporterwilliamjkelly.com.
Awesome. Sir, you're a national treasure. Thank you, buddy.
God bless you. Thank you, brother.
All right. Cheers, guys.